Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer board game review. And today's game up on the tabletop, or I should say games, is Umami, the Forest Food Fest, and Frank's Zoo. Both are by Heidelberg Games. Heidelberg usually makes small, party-sized card games in these kind of sized boxes, and they usually play between like 2, maybe even sometimes 1 player up to like 6. Umami, this one here is 2 to 5, and then Frank's Zoo is actually 4 to 7 players. And we're going to cover both of these games in today's review. And we'll talk about the setup for each game, and we'll cover how to play each game, and then I'll review them. And what I'll do is I'll start with Umami and how to set it up, how to play. Then we'll go over to Frank's Zoo, how to set it up, how to play. And then I'll review each of them, starting with Umami and then going to Frank's Zoo. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about these games individually and see what I think of them. Okay, so the setup for Umami is actually quite simple. You'll have 2 different unique sets of cards here, as well as a first player marker. Give one player that marker, and then shuffle both decks of cards. And then deal out a number of each of them, 4 of them, face up on the field. So you'll have 4 favorites, and you'll have 4 ingredients. Based on the number of players playing the game in Umami is how many favorites you'll actually have in the favorites deck. 7 for 2 players, 9 for 3, 10 for 4, and all 11 for 5. Once you've dealt these guys out here, then from the top of the deck, deal each player 4 hidden ingredient cards. You're also going to give each player a hidden one of these favorite cards that gets played at the last round of the game. So you can kind of set it aside for now, but it's kind of like a secret objective. Once everybody has 4 cards of the ingredients and 1 of the favorite, then you're going to start the game. And the game's actually quite simple. You will take 2 actions every turn. 1 action is always going to be from your hand, and 1 action is always going to be from the field here. How it works is you're simply going to be playing cards. Play a card from your hand, play a card from the field. And how that works is you're going to have a tableau. I'm the first player, I will start the game off, and I'm going to be playing one of these cards from my hand. You'll notice there are 3 colors. You have red, yellow, and green. Green is 1 to 3 in numbers. And then yellow is 4 to 6, and then the red is 7 to 9. And they're always going to be that. There are variations of them, but the numbers are always going to correlate to the colors. When you play out one of these cards here, like this 8 here, I will then go ahead and play a card from the field here. Maybe I'll play this 7 here. Whenever I play a card from the field, I'll replace it with a new one from the deck. And whenever I play a card from my hand, I will draw a new one from the deck. So you'll always have 4 cards in hand at the end of the turn, and you're always going to have 4 cards in this shop here at the end of your turn. Once I've played my 2 cards, I'll pass. And the next player will do the same. They'll play a card from their hand, they'll play a card from the field, and then they'll pass. A few unique things too is, if you don't want to play a card from the field here, you can actually just draw one at random from the top of the deck and place it on your field. Or, as an action, you can play a card from your hand or from the field as a steal. On the top right hand of the cards, it'll give you 3 different types of symbols. The hand is a steal symbol, which means if you play it from your hand, it'll go to the discard pile, and you can steal somebody else's non-set ingredients. Or, the other 2 symbols is a star for a victory point, and then these flowers, which break ties. Stealing is quite simple. Just take any ingredient you want from another player, as long as it's not set, meaning that it is not being blocked by one of these favorites. And they are going to get a new card from the field or the top of the deck to replace it. So everyone is always going to have the same number of ingredients on their field, as well as the same number of cards in your hand at all times. You can also play that action from the field. Instead of drawing a card from the field, you can discard a card if it has a hand symbol to steal as well. It's the same action, but it takes that field action as opposed to your hand action. If you have a steal action in both your hand and the field, you can do that as well. So you can do a double steal on your turn, but just remember that you're always going to replace somebody else's card that's already on their field. So after everybody does that, I'll go back to my turn, and once again, I will rinse and repeat. I'll play a card from my hand, and then I can play a card from the field, or I'll just simply play one from the deck. And whenever you complete a set, which is always going to be 3 cards, of one of the favorites that are on the field face up, you'll take that favorite. And you'll just follow the rules for them. This one here says that it requires a this requires a sum of lower cards, and then it also requires a number of colors. So this, you need 2 yellow cards and a red card, and the 2 yellow cards may not be the same number, and the red card can be any number, as well as all the numbers you want to be as low as humanly possible. and then you'll place this basically on top of your set, but not hiding the cards. So that way players will know that you own the set currently. Now nobody can steal from this because it is a set. However, they can take the favorite. If they get a set of 3 cards that actually meets the requirements more than I do, like instead of an 8-5-6, maybe somebody has a 7-5-6, that is lower technically than my set, so they'll take this card from me. And these are victory points. Each one of them is going to be 1 victory point, and any cards on the field with stars on them for me is also a victory point at the end of the game. Additionally, I have flowers on mine, so let's say that somebody else plays an 8, 5, and a 6, and their cards have 3 flowers and mine only have 2. They actually will win the tie. So flowers is kind of the way you make tiebreakers happen. You're also always going to remember to always draw a card, and then you're always going to remember to, if you ever play or take a set card, to play a new one out. And that's how it works with sets. It doesn't matter if it's on your turn or not. As soon as a set card is available to one of the 3 ingredients that you have, you can steal that from anybody or the field itself. And that's the objective of the entire game. I believe in a 4-player game, it's whoever finishes all the favorite deck. If you finish the full favorite deck, the game will end and there'll be one more round, or if somebody has 12 ingredients on their field. And how that works is the last round of the game, when you've met the conditions, you're going to do a secret favorite phase. You'll flip all the favorites face down. They can no longer be won by other players, so if you have acquired a favorite, it goes face down. You're also going to discard all the ingredients cards from the area, so you should only have 4 cards in your hand left over. You'll add your secret face-up ingredient, that kind of objective you were going for, and reveal it face up so that you or other players may steal it. You'll start with the first player who has the serving card, and they'll check if they qualify for any favorites, and they'll also take it. Play a final round in turn order with the changes. So the changes are that you can no longer steal, and you can play any number of the cards from your hand, up to 4 cards, which is your entire hand, or none if you don't want to, and you'll proceed to scoring after everybody does that. So there might be a way in which you're holding cards for a favorite that somebody else has. You'll drop those cards down, and then you can steal somebody else's favorite card in order to gain the value. Once scoring works, it's pretty simple basically. Every card that is an ingredient that has a star on it is going to score you a point, and for every favorite that has a star on it, it will also score you a point. And whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. That's how the game Umami, the Forest Food Fest works. It's a pretty simple tableau area control style game, meets like a stealing take that type of a game. Kind of reminds me of a set collection game. But yeah, Umami. All right, let's go ahead and cover Frank's Zoo next. Okay, so here we have Frank's Zoo. This one here is a larger number of players required, 4 to 7 players. And how this game works is basically, we'll just do a 4-player example. You'll shuffle all the animal cards in the deck, and then you're going to deal out cards to every player until everybody has equal numbers. Or in some instances, the game will tell you how it works, in which some players will get a few less cards. Also, based on the number of players playing the game, you'll have these star cards. You have the 4, 3, and a 2 for a 4-player game. If you're playing a 5-player game, just simply go ahead and add a 5-star. If you're playing a 6, add the 6-star, etc., etc. So these are the value of your cards at the end of the game. If you've ever played a game like 13 or Pineapple Poker, this plays similar to that with a multiplier when your hand goes out first. So even technically, if you go out first, you might not win. It actually matters about how many hands you score and what multiplier that you get. Your objective is ultimately to score as many points as you can and empty your hand as quickly as you can as well. So what you can do in this game is, when you start the game, you're going to start by leading. There are actually 4 different actions that you can take, but typically speaking, you're only going to be doing one, which is pursue. We'll start with the first basic action. You're going to lead. You'll choose any card or cards from your hand of the same type, and you'll play those cards down. These cards are all animals. All the animals have the animal symbol at the top left and right, as well as the main animal on the bottom of the card in the middle. And then what beats that animal as far as ranking goes at the top. They're basically thinking about the animals that can beat them. So the polar bear will always be beaten by elephants and by these like orcas or whales here. And you're going to just go ahead and play cards. So for instance, if I wanted to lead and I'll start, I could play 3 polar bears. I could play 1 or 2 or literally any other card in my hand. The only thing I cannot do is I cannot play 2 different types of animals. It's just one animal and as many of them as you have or want to play. Once you've played those animals down, everybody now has an opportunity to either pursue or pass. Pursuing is basically being able to outnumber the number of animals played previously or outrank them. So for instance, this here is 3 polar bears, and in order to outnumber these polar bears, I would have to play 4 polar bears from my hand as the next player. If I don't have 4 polar bears, my only other option is to play either the whale or the elephant at 3, because that will actually outrank these cards here. So I have to play either the exact number of type of animals that outrank this, or any number of extra animals of the same type, being polar bears, 4, 5, 6, etc., etc. Play the same species of the last set in the field, but with exactly 1 more card, not as many as you want. So 2 lions, then 3 lions, then 4 lions, then 5 lions, then back to me, right? Or obviously to outrank, you play the same number, but it has to be of an animal that is the animal that this animal is thinking of. Now, let's just say, for example, that you don't have the ability to outrank or to outnumber the animals here in the middle. You pass. And each player will also can choose to pass. If everybody passes and it gets back to the player who previously played the set of animals that was last played, these animals will come face down in front of them for scoring at a later time. At the end of the game, these are actually bonus scoring points that they get. And what they're going to do is collect and lead. So they collect these guys, that's what I already explained, and then they can lead. They'll simply play a new animal. Maybe I'll just play this 1 lion here. In which case, everybody else may now choose to play some cards as well. Maybe this player here has an elephant that beats that lion, so now this character is beating the previous card I played. And maybe this player here has 2 elephants? No, it doesn't. But mice are better than elephants, so this player can play a mouse. However, everything else is pretty much better than a mouse, so this player here can choose to outnumber by playing 2 mice. So now I have 2 mice here I have to deal with, and maybe I will play... Oh, do I got anything that actually work here? I don't, but I have a unique card, so I can play this alligator. That beats a mouse, but there's 2 here, so I actually have to play this chameleon. Chameleons are wilds, but they have to be played with another animal of an actual type, in which case my 2 now crocodiles beat the mice. And it'll just keep going around, so we're basically outnumbering or outranking these cards, stacking and stacking and stacking, until eventually the other players pass, and the player who last played the set takes the cards and scores them. There's some other cards we'll talk about in my review, but that's the basic idea of the game. When you empty your hand, and you have no cards left, you will take whatever top scoring card is left here on this stack. When you take this card, you're out of the game, and everybody else keeps playing until the last scoring card has been taken. The last player doesn't get a scoring card, however they still do get to score. And at the end of the game, you're basically going to count up all the cards that you scored, multiply those cards by the number that you got for your multiplier when you exited the game, and whoever has the most points is the winner. So you're not just trying to empty your hands like a game of hearts or a game of 13, you're also trying to gain as many possible points and score in order to, and the highest multiplier in order to win this game, Frank's Zoo. There's other game modes like Team Rumble where you can play with each other, but I just figured I'd cover the base game because it plays pretty standard to the other kind of unique modes to this game, just to give you a little taste of how it works. So there you go, Frank's Zoo and Umami. Let's go ahead and talk about them. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover Umami and Frank's Zoo, and we'll start with Umami. Umami is a collection game. You're making a set of 3 unique ingredients specific to whatever the favorite you're trying to acquire is asking for, and then you're collecting that favorite. Other players are looking for their own favorites, or playing for their face-down favorite at the end of the game, or perhaps looking to steal your favorite by completing the objective that it's asking for at a better value than you. Perhaps it's looking for 2 greens that are different numbers and 1 red, and you do have that. Maybe let's say that you have a 1 and a 2, a 1 and a 3, and then the red is like a 9. If I play a 1 and a 2 and a 7, that is lower than your total sum, and I can steal your favorite. And whenever you have that set of 3, you just steal it. And each of these cards looks for different things. It's not always just specifically different types of numbers and colors. Sometimes it's actually going to be runs. So when it has no color and there's a +1/+1, maybe you're looking for a 3, 4, 5 or a 5, 6, 7 or whatever, and then it asks you for the higher sum. So there are some cases where it'll ask for a straight, or a run, so to speak. Other times, it might ask you for different colors and different types, or maybe it'll be a run of 2s. So it'll be like 2, 4, 6, or 3, 5, 7. And so each of these different types of cards are asking you for different things. All the cards are always going to be the same as far as coloration goes. The green will always be the lower end cards, the yellow will be middle, and red will be the higher cards. And there are always 3 different types of abilities or bonus actions the cards give you. One is the steal, which is actually considered its own action, and the other one is going to be this like flower symbol, which is you're trying to beat ties. Because in a lot of cases there are ties in the game, and more of these flowers gives you the ability to break ties. And finally, stars, the most important thing in the game, to have the most stars in front of you. Objectives can score you 1 point by just the favorite being worth point and none of your cards being worth points, or 4 points. You've played 3 cards that all have stars on them, and you've also got the favorite. So that's a huge number of points you can gain in Umami. And that's pretty much how the game goes. There's a unique little twist at the end of the game where you'll have one last round when you meet the end game conditions, aka a certain number of cards on your field, or you finish collecting the last favorite. You're basically dumping all your cards and going for any favorites that haven't been set previous to the last round, and also revealing that secret favorite that hopefully you've been building towards. But you might not have been able to complete it, and somebody else can steal it and ultimately then steal the game, or multiple. The other thing with this game too, other than me knocking this down over and over again, is that every player will have the same number of ingredients down on the field. And so realistically, you all have a very, very close chance of winning. The scores are always going to be very tightly knit. And unless you just simply have 4 or 5 sets or so on and so forth of different types of the foods, and none of them give you a favorite, you're likely to do okay in this game. It's always a very close scoring game. It involves being treacherous if you want by stealing, or just choosing to be kind of chill and solitaire and do your own thing. Umami is a solid kind of straight down the middle game. If you're looking for a game that's a little hostile, and you can choose to kind of go that route or not, but it also eventually just being fair in the end as far as what you're going to be able to get. So it's got a little bit of that cutthroat action, but it's a pretty straightforward solitaire like point scoring game. This is going to be for you. The art style is cool. I love the fact that each of the different colors represents different types of foods. Like you have your proteins that are in red, and your vegetables are in green, and then you have your carbs that are in yellow. And so you're making what the favorites are, which are unique types of dish requirements. And that's it. You're just basically making savory, rich, flavorful food in the game. Frank's Zoo is basically a War or 13 style game with a twist. You've got a modifier attached to ending. You're not just trying to dump your hand and get the best modifier. When I did that, I actually lost the game because I didn't score enough cards to make the modifier worthwhile. If you only end up scoring 3 cards and a modifier of 4, sure, that's 12 points. But if somebody went last and ended up getting like a third of the deck, they're just going to win the game overall. So you want to empty your hand, and you also want to score as many points as possible, as fast as possible, to get as many cards as possible for the higher score. The other thing about this game is there's a lot more variables. You can play the team mode, in which you can actually work together with another player to like switch cards around and work together as like a pupil and like a teacher. And it has like kind of this like trading and sharing and information thing. And there's also a wide variety of critters in here. You're going to have things that are pretty simple. The polar bear can lose to the elephants or the whales, right? The chameleon is any card as long as it's attached to another card that is of a basic type. The mouse beats things like elephants, very, very strong cards, but will lose to literally everything else and kind of rinse and repeat the cycle again. Or you'll end up something with like this guy here, the mosquito. It is only going to pair with elephants. So it's a wild that's only for elephants. But on its own, it loses to krill, it loses to hedgehogs, and it loses to mice. And so not every creature is aligned with every other creature. It's not like just because you have a big creature you can beat any other creature. There are specific creatures that beat other creatures. There's a number of wild, unique cards in the game, but there's not a huge amount of them, and it doesn't really affect the luck factor all that much in the game. This is really about kind of situating your hand and scoring as quickly and as efficiently as humanly possible. The fact that they add the little twist of having a team mode to it, changing how the game works and plays is unique, and there's a wide variety of different kind of actions that you can take. If you're looking for something that's like War, it's like Egyptian War, it's like 13, it's got those type of like feel good moments, feel bad moments, this is for you. The modifier is also excellent as well. The art for this game is great as well. It's got really cute little critters. This is definitely like a little teen game. Even probably little kids can gather into this as well. It's got beautiful little critters, very easy to understand cards and how they work. The tops are great, left and right say what the critter is, so you can arrange them in your hand. And then what they're afraid of is kind of in the middle. And eventually you'll just understand what likes what and what doesn't like other things, right? And so it's kind of after you play the first couple rounds, you'll get the feel for Frank's Zoo. Overall, both of these games have that same type of a feel. This is going to be for like a young adult audience. This is kind of a gateway game. Heidelberg games in general are kind of gateway games. I imagine these are all going to say like 12 plus or so, 10 plus, 10 plus. Yeah, so around there, middle school, maybe even high school level style games. A game I could see myself easily sitting down on the quad and playing during recess or on a lunch break on high school or junior high. And also really solid family game as well. They each have unique themes that work into each other, making different kinds of sweet and savory foods together, being a little aggressive but not too mean, or as a game that's all about kind of hand manipulation and like thought-provoking, unique choices that you can make that distinguish not only just dumping your hand, but now you have this added additional thing of getting a multiplier. And how you want to get the multiplier is important too, because more cards to multiply is more important. Heidelberg Games does a really good job of these type of games, and it's a pretty straightforward no-brainer for people who are looking for these styles of games. However, a few negatives, right? Umami is probably a fairly consistent game. It's one of those things that's never too offensive, but never has extreme crazy moments. Some people can pick on you drastically where they're constantly stealing from you, and so one player can kind of get behind because there's a lot of steal actions, and so you might have 4 or 6 cards on the field, the second or third round, but players have basically arranged you to the point where you can't actually gain any favorites. And so that can be a feels bad moment. Playing with people who do that kind of thing, basically you start to feel like you don't have any choice at all, especially when there's so many steal actions that can take place. And of course, not having to actually play cards in your hand, as opposed to just stealing cards that you want from other players to gain those favorites, can be of a great benefit to you and a great loss to them. And so that's the one thing I've noticed with this game that was frustrating, seeing me or one of my friends playing this and just noticing that they can't really do much when 2-3 other players are kind of just taking what they want from you. Frank's Zoo. Frank's Zoo, I originally was like not super crazy about this game just because I ended my game by dumping my hand really quickly first, because I play a lot of 13, especially growing up. And so in my mind, I want to just dump as fast as I can and get rid of as many cards as I can. But that's not how this game works. This game works about as many cards as you can dump while scoring, kind of like the game Hearts, but also you want to complete like 13 and other games that involve kind of a bonus. This one here is going to give you that multiplier bonus, which is so important to the game, but not the only thing. Yeah, I got 5 cards and a 4, that gave me 20 points. But somebody else had 8 cards or 9 cards and a 3, which just decimated me in points overall. Like the multiplier matters, but not to the point where I have actually no score. I also really like the aspect of this game that it has kind of a team mode where you can play with other people, younger kids can play with adults, and kind of teach them the ropes of the game while it actually being part of how the game is played. It can be frustrating where somebody can come ahead in this game very fast. Maybe their hand is just perfect, just like in any of those other games where you just are playing war, right? And you have all the face cards and your opponents have all the 2s, 3s, and 4s. And that can just be a thing that happens in this game. So there is quite a bit of chance in the game, but there's a lot of variables for you to make up your own choices and kind of control how and when you play certain cards, because some little cards can be big cards in unique little situations. But there you go, 2 little cute games that can fit on your shelf pretty much anywhere. Bring them along, play them at a vacation. It's good for family, friends, and of course young adults to play in high school and junior high. Both games are a little aggressive, but nothing too super crazy, unless of course players actively go after you in Umami, or you simply don't have a great hand in Frank's Zoo. These games are always right down the middle for me whenever I play these type of games. If I feel like they have a really unique type of like mechanic, whatever, I throw them back like way up there, like the Crew or Resistance, those small box games that do that for me. But these games are harmlessly unoffensive and fun, but also have their kind of drawbacks as well. But let me know what you guys think if you played Frank's Zoo or Umami. Both of these are a solid recommendation, but for the specific audiences I've recommended. Thank you guys for watching another Unfiltered Gamer board game review for these two wonderful games. If you're interested in picking up these two or any other Heidelberg games, there's going to be a link down below in the description for you guys to take a look at. If you'd like and you like my videos, please consider liking, subscribing to the channel. Let me know what games of these two you might be interested in, or if you've played any other Heidelberg games and those are kind of your cup of tea. They've definitely made a ton. I've reviewed a ton of theirs, and I do greatly recommend. There's a couple few that I really like. Watch my other videos to find those out. But yeah, these ones are really cool little games as well. I see them with a solid audience. I'll probably keep Umami just for my daughter when she grows up, because I think this is a really cute little game. But yeah, I'm curious what other people think. All right, guys, thank you so much. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. It does greatly help us out. And it's been such a... Things have been crazy for me working around the house, and I've got the baby I have to watch more so, because yeah, YouTube and board games doesn't pay comparatively to like a marketing manager, etc., like my wife is doing. So I had to kind of take the rope, you know, doing less content. But I still love doing this, so I want to come and at least do at least 2 to 3 videos a week when I can, as opposed to 1 every day for the last, I think I did for like 7 years. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I look forward to visiting Frank's zoos or making some umamis with yous next time.